All right, excited about the week this week, getting into a routine. This is the first weekly routine that we've been able to have since we had plenty of time to prepare for Marshall and then plenty of time to prepare for James Madison. So it's good to get into a routine that we're going to be in for the majority of the season. We've got a good quality team coming to Morgantown Saturday, 2-0, led by their defense. They got a lot of experienced guys on defense, much like we are on offense. And then, much like we are on defense, they got a lot of young kids that they're trying to figure out a new scheme and all that. Will continue to get better and better as I expect our defense to get better and better. Good in the return game. They got a guy that we're going to have to contain that's a top 10 return team in both punt returns and kickoff returns. So it's going to be a good challenge for our cover teams to be able to improve. So. With that said, just excited about the week and going to try to get a week better and focus on trying to win a game this week.
What do you think the team improved most overall between Marshall and JMU?
I don't know. From a team standpoint, we had an awful lot of energy on all three sides of the ball. I felt like we were. I thought our coaches did a good job of preparing these guys to play a game and get over there. The excitement of being in DC was awesome. I think the fans were awesome. The support was good. The turnout was good. I think it was festive and it played a good quality team. What we saw in James Madison was exactly what we thought we were going to see in James Madison, and they did a good job of playing hard and playing sound. So. We got better on all three sides of the ball. There is tons of improvement, from a team standpoint on all three sides of the ball.
What do you see out of Maryland's freshman quarterback so far?
He's just young. He's going to continue to get better. He's a good-looking kid that is trying to figure things out. What they're going through would be the same thing as what we'd be going through as if we had to start Fort Childress. So. When you play that many young kids, there's going to be times where it doesn't look very good. It's going to be times where it's frustrating. They're not moving the ball as well as they'd like to, obviously. But with experienced guys, that gets easier. Just like from us offensively this year, it's a little easier to call plays and move the ball because we have experienced guys. So it's always challenging to have a lot of freshmen that you're counting on. But with that, you coach them up, and the more you play, the better you get.
And he has a lot of runs, the quarterback. Is it mostly just scrambling, or do they actually draw some stuff up for him?
It's mostly scrambling. He sits back there. He's been hit a lot. That's going to be something that's going to be important for us. I mean, defensively, we're going to want to be aggressive. We're going to want to attack them in a variety of ways. And with any young kids, you're going to want to try to give them different looks, try to confuse them, that sort of thing. So, we know what they're going to try to do. It's going to be our job to stop them. We don't care who we're playing. We don't care how old they are. Our job's to identify what they're doing and try to get after them.
Two guys up front, pretty good. What do you see from those two up front guys?
O-line wise?
D-line.
D-line wise. Good 72. The Volano kid, I mean, he's a guy that we were concerned with last year. He's a big, thick, try-hard guy. Defensively, it's about the same people that we played against last year. Every one of them is pretty much the same. They lost their good outside backer, Kenny Tate. Wouldn't be surprised if he plays. We'll be prepared for him if he does. But other than that, all the backers are pretty much the same. The two safeties are the same. One of the corners is the same. So it's much like we were offensively. We got 9 of the 11 starters back and some other key players that played a good bit. They got 8 or 9 starters back on defense. So from a personnel standpoint, we're very familiar with them. From a scheme standpoint, it's totally different. It's a different scheme than what they did last year, and we've studied it, and we'll be prepared for it.
Offensively, obviously, new coordinator for them. Is their scheme a lot different than what they were running last year?
It's not a lot different. They tempoed a ton last year. Under Gary Croton, they tempoed. They had an experienced quarterback and a pretty good running back that they did. They tempoed a good bit, and not only in our game, but they tempoed in a lot of games. I know they were in a huge shootout with Clemson. When we were preparing for Clemson, they were in a huge shootout for Clemson. It's different. They're they're a four-wide team. They'll substitute one of the wideouts for a tight end and play a tight end a good bit. But it's much like we've talked about in here. And Loxley's a guy that's tempo. Me and him had conversations about tempo and run game for years, and he's a guy that likes the tempo. It's hard to do when you have a freshman quarterback and a whole bunch of new running backs and an inexperienced O-line. So they're not tempoing very much. If they do, then so be it. We'll be prepared for it, but they're not doing that very much. The biggest difference in what they did last year and this year is they've slowed up.
Is Diggs, the return guy, a clone of Tavon, or?
I don't know the kid, so I don't know. I mean, he on tape, he's got some twitch, but there's a whole lot of kids that got twitch. He's a Baltimore kid that wears number 1. That's a receiver and return guy. I guess they're clones. But I don't know. I don't know the kid. He's a good player.
When you face a guy like that, or if you had to face your own guy, Tavon, what's the scheme as far as the defending that?
The same scheme that we're going to have to figure out when we play everybody else on our schedule. Everybody else on our schedule is going to have a quick twitch return guy that can make plays and is problematic because of talent and all the rest. So, we faced a guy that was just like it in the bowl game last year. I mean, they're called good players, and there's more than Tavon Austin and Stephon Diggs across the country. I can assure you that. So we don't care who they are. We figure out what their schemes are and what we got to do to contain guys like that. It's about our coverage units. We spend a lot of time on kickoff coverage. We spend a lot of time on punt coverage, and we got to get people down the field, and we got to make tackles.
Have you noticed a difference in the way you guys are starting games this season? And I know at this time last year, a lot of the talk was about slow starts, and if you could talk a little about that, the difference that you guys are having, especially early in these games.
A lot of y'all's talk was about slow starts. I specifically remember that looking in my notes against Maryland. I know we didn't start very good the first 2 games, but we started really fast against Maryland last year. We hit the field. We started fast. It's something we'll talk about all this week. We've talked about it for the prior 2 weeks. We've done a good job of starting fast. We need to start faster in the second half, and we need to finish people. We haven't done a good job of that. We let Marshall keep playing. We let James Madison keep playing and score late. Last year against Maryland, we let them keep playing, and they scored a bunch in the second half and almost beat us in the end. So pleased with how we're starting. Pleased with our tempo as far as how we're playing. Do need to do a better job of starting in fast in the second half, and do need to do a better job of finishing people off.
Obviously, it's early in the season, 2 games, but Gino's got 9 incompletions and 9 touchdown passes. You coached a lot of good quarterbacks. Have you seen a start like that?
From a statistical standpoint, no. He's done well. The thing that I'm happiest with him, completion percentage is awesome. Throwing touchdowns is awesome. Taking care of the football is the number one, is more important than the 2 stats that you just said. And he's perfect on turnovers. He hasn't thrown an interception. He's doing a good job of taking care of the ball. I credit our receivers as that as well, as far as getting open and making catches, not having a lot of drops. And then in the pocket, he's doing a good job. He hasn't taken a sack either. Got awful close last week, and there's 3 or 4 times where they could have got to him, and he just physically just threw people off of him. Because he's a strong kid, we gotta tie that up. There's some miscommunication with the O-line that can't exist, but he's doing a good job taking care of the ball.
You referenced this yesterday a little bit. Can you talk about the importance of the past 2 games, fourth quarter, you've been able to get those subs in and being able to get the second team guys in and getting them that work?
Yeah, played 59 guys this past week. A lot of people, and even myself, has been guilty of this, of saying, well, it's just the young kids in there in the fourth quarter, and we're not doing a good job of finishing games. We gave up the touchdown in the fourth quarter last week. There was like 6 missed tackles. Offensively, for the second game in a row, we didn't score in the fourth quarter with our young guys. It's not all just young guys. I mean, there's some experienced guys out there as well, and I don't care who they are out there. Their jobs to move the ball or tackle people. It's a lot of the same guys that are playing on special teams, or a lot of the same guys that are that are backups on offense and defense getting snaps. So it's great to be able to play a lot of those guys in key situations. It needs to look a little bit better than it has in the past 2 fourth quarters.
I think you mentioned yesterday Gino's getting a little better at recognizing the blitz. I mean, how would you, I guess, describe his progression there and what he still needs to do?
He got caught a couple of times. He got hit a couple of times. It was good to see James Madison heat us up like that because we hadn't seen that very much. We hadn't seen it very much for quite some time, and we have to be able to recognize it. We have to be able to communicate up front as far as what's going on. We have to be able to, Gino, change his thought process from having time in the pocket to not having time in the pocket. And then from a receiver standpoint, we got to do a better job of running our routes quicker, looking quicker, expecting the ball quicker. So not that it was bad, but it wasn't what we wanted it from a blitz standpoint. So, we're going to work on that this week and try to sort out some blitzes a little bit quicker and try to change our thought process on getting the ball out a little bit quicker.
Danny, you're getting good stuff, obviously, from Tavon and Stedman, and then the outside guy, obviously Stedman, whoever it's been, has been pretty productive. How do you feel so far about the second inside position?
Okay. The second inside position is less important than the second outside position. Because we can switch out some of those inside guys for backs, which we do a lot. So where you need probably 3 to 4 outside guys, you need really 2 inside. Jordan's done fine. He hasn't had a whole lot of opportunities. He's blocking well. He for as little of a guy as he is, he's getting and covering people up. Stedman's touchdown was a result of him, and a couple of those screens that Tavon broke out was a result of him. So he's a second inside receiver, whether they're both out there at the same time or whether Tavon's off and he's in there. He's doing good. Dante Campbell caught his first touchdown. He's a physical kid. Will continue to get better and better. Connor went in a few times and ran around, did some good things. So, do we have any more game breakers like Tavon? I mean, not yet.
There was one play late on the long touchdown to Stedman where I think Connor ran wide open, and that's happened a couple of times. Obviously, you want to throw it to Stedman, I get that, but is there danger in just knowing those two guys are really good and throwing to him a lot? Maybe the defense just leaves those guys open and kind of jumps a little higher, his tip maybe picked.
Well, we had 2 guys open, so
But it was,
he felt a little more comfortable throwing to Stedman than he did Connor. It's just because they go way back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Connor's doing fine. I mean, he's not doing anything special. He plays hard, but we're not ready to anoint him as a guy that we're going to count on making a lot of plays yet.
What did you see on the safety after watching tape?
Soft. It was part of the start the second half soft and not ready to play. They were clearly playing harder than us on, other than the 4 snaps of goal line stand. Other than those 4 snaps, defense started slow. We gave up 2 drives all the way to the goal line. And yes, I'm happy with the goal line stands. It was tremendous, but we were really soft in the first 2 drives of them getting down there. Offensively, we looked like crap on the 3rd and 1. We went for it. We were soft. We got the ball on the goal line. We were soft. We were soft up front. We ran soft. The backs didn't. I mean, it was just soft. They played with more effort. They played harder than us for approximately half the 3rd quarter.
Dana, the evolution of your offense, different tack here. How different is what you do now compared to even your playing days at Iowa State when you first learned this? I'm sorry, Iowa Wesleyan when you first learned this. Is it vastly different?
I can't even remember. I can't remember that far back. I mean, there's some similarities from some of the routes. Going to Texas Tech is probably a little bit fresher in my mind than way back then, but there's some similarities, but it's a constant evolution. It's a constant change. Some of the same things, some of the same plays. There's good plays everywhere. How we practice is relatively the same. From evolution to plays and experimentation and trying specific things. I mean, that's not going to stop anytime soon. We'll keep working with it and keep going.
When you talk about picking up the blitz up front, who makes those calls? Is it Joe Madsen? Is it Gino? Is it a combination?
It's the O-line. Gino understands the schemes, but we're not having him make decisions. He's got enough to worry about. So from up front, from Joey to, and Joey's pretty fortunate to have two guys next to him that have started 35 games or whatever it is. Those three guys have been playing together for a long time. So we put a lot on those three guys, and they didn't play very good this past week. They were relatively soft, and their communication wasn't very good. So we're going to challenge them to get better. The tackle spots alert them on some stuff that's going on the edges. So it's a combination of all of them. And we were really excited about all five of those guys playing really well together, and they're still going to. I'm not going to say they took a step backwards, but they didn't play very good. They were a little bit soft, and their communication wasn't as good as we expected it to be. And we hold them to a high standard too, just because there's so many starts within those guys. So they need to pick things up this week.
Is the athleticism level and the talent level of Maryland significantly different from what you've seen in the first two games, simply because BCS programs recruit better players? And is that a concern that that this is the first time you see that higher level?
It's definitely not a concern. I mean, we expect to play at the highest level of college football, so we want everybody's best every week that we play them. We expect to get everybody's best, and we encourage them to bring their best. They are talented. They got experienced guys on defense. They have talented secondary guys that tackle well and cover well. Their backers are physical. And again, they're experienced and they're physical. From a receiver standpoint, they're going to look good. The two older kids, the Dorsey kid and the Boykins kid, those guys are the same guys we played against last year who made a lot of plays against us and physically look good. And they're kind of getting outdone a little bit by two of the younger guys that look really good. So they got a bunch of running backs that they're trying to figure out what to do with. Are they better than the teams we've played? We're certainly expecting that.
What has Bowie's blocking done for him?
Got him player of the week.
That was it?
It added to it. He had 5 knockdowns, so he's becoming more versatile. What you guys see is a guy that catches the ball in the flats and stuff, but from a protection standpoint, from a run blocking standpoint, I mean, he's a powerful kid. He played, and that puts his body in danger at times too, because he plays so hard and he plays so physical. But he ran the ball. He ran the ball well. He did a great job on punt return. He knocked, I think, 5 or 6 guys down throughout the course of the game. He was, from a receiver standpoint, he looked good. So that, a guy that does that many things is a guy that's going to get rewarded.
How valuable is having a back like that, so versatile, so you can keep tempo and you don't have to sub different guys in and out?
Yeah, I mean it's very valuable to have a guy that can do all that stuff. I mean, Sean's a little bit limited in the pass game from a receiving standpoint because he's a bigger physical kind of guy, and that's probably why, if you look back on the history of our offense, we've always had guys like Bowie, because they can do all that stuff, to where, and not saying, I mean, Sean's our starter and Sean's a great player, but you need a variety of people. I think that's why you look at who we're recruiting. From a running back standpoint, we're recruiting a lot of different type of body type kind of guys that each of them can bring a different thing to the table.
Speaking of running backs, Harrison.
See how he does today. It's each and every week. It's see how he gets stronger and then put him out there. He's been practicing some, so we'll see how he is, and we'll again play him if we need to play him and if he's ready to play.
Talked last week about just having a game, on the East Coast so that you can stick around this area. But a team like this, the border rivalry, and has a history more than what you're going to see in the Big 12. How big of a game is this just for the history of it and, the two programs.
Yeah, every game's important. I think from a fan base, this one's pretty important. A lot of our guys on our team, I think we have about 10 or 12 kids from Maryland that it's going to be important to them. One of the things last year that was big is when we went and played like Cincinnati, the Ohio guys got everybody cranked up. When we went and played Maryland, the Maryland people got people cranked up. When we went and played South Florida, the South Florida kids got people cranked up. When we went and played Rutgers, the Jersey kids got people cranked up. So it's important. It's something that this series has been played for a long time. It's one of the few remaining quote-unquote rival games because it's a neighboring state and we have a history with them. So, and it's not the last time we're going to play. This thing's going to keep going on. So it's going to mean a lot to a lot of different people for a lot of different reasons. From a regional standpoint, I think it's extremely important.
I know you go out and play whenever they tell you to go play, but are you disappointed that you've had so many early noon games?
Nah, not at all. Got to play sometime. Might as well get it over with, right? We're trying to start fast around here. What's a better way of starting fast than playing early? Isn't that right? As opposed to sitting around and being all lethargic and everything, let's just get up and go play. Plus, we get to practice it for the next week. Make us a week better at that. All right, guys, see you.